Again, this is my audience. Okay, this is assignment 14 on cultural experience. Hello, my name is Katie Schuster, and this is my informative speech about living and growing up in the Midwest. The title of my speech is More Than Cows, Corn, and Cheese Curds. All right, skiing, sailing, close-knit communities, and lots of beer and fried food. That is the wonders of the Midwest. In this speech, I will go over where the people of rural Wisconsin originated from, what living in this small town was like, and how growing up in this overlooked subculture of the US was. First, we're going to go with the history. Originally inhabited by Native Americans like the Chippewa, Menominee, the Potawatomi, and the Ho-Chunk tribes, they all lived in this area until about the late 1800s. This is where most of the town landmarks and national preserves are named after. All right, there's still a lot of Native American tribes living in rural Wisconsin, and I have been to a few tribal ceremonies that were open to the public for educational reasons. With a rich spiritual side in the country, it makes walking around the lush fields or the big snowbanks feel more mystical. And after the combines turn up all the soil in the spring, it's the best time to walk around the fields and find arrowheads dating back to before the 1800s. Wisconsin also has large German influences. Once the Europeans infiltrated the US, Wisconsin became a predominantly German territory. In most of the cities, or one of the cities, Milwaukee, there is this German fest that happens every year, along with a Belgium-Polish fest. And that's where they serve a lot of beers and sausages, just to embrace the culture of Germany that Wisconsin has. Now that I've talked about the history of Wisconsin, I'm going to tell you about the small town I lived in, or small town culture. So growing up in a small town means that you know everybody. This can be fun because when you're walking around, going out to stores or dinner, you can say hi to everybody and it feels like everybody is part of your big family. But also, knowing everyone means that everybody is in each other's business. If you're having marital struggles or a kid goes to rehab or someone gets arrested, everybody knows. But then everybody is there for each other because it is a family. So growing up in this community, everybody is watching you. Everyone is making sure that they're there for each other during hard times. When my grandparents passed away, we had people dropping off food every day. And then there's also graduation, confirmation, weddings, funerals that just get such a large attendance because everybody in this small town are all family. So now that I've told you about the history of Wisconsin and what a small town is like, I'm going to talk about growing up exactly where I was and how I experienced all of it. There was a lot of creativity that went on growing up there because it is cold in the winter, very, very cold, and in the summer, there's not a whole lot to do. There was skiing at our local hill, or we'd sit in basements and do crafts during the winter. And in the summer, it was always time at the lake, time in the rivers, doing barbecues with everybody, all sorts of sport activities. And then also, mostly all the kids starting around 14 years old all got jobs. I started working at my grandparents' bed and breakfast down the street when I was 9, and then I worked at my parents' outdoor store when I turned about 13. So a lot of the time was also encompassed by work, hard Midwestern work. There's also the side of living in a small town where you're getting in trouble a lot. This is induced mainly because of the boredom. There's a lot of poverty and drugs in my high school. Girls were getting pregnant, and there was drunk driving often. I wasn't allowed to drive home after 10 p.m. because of all the drunk drivers. It was either stay where you are or come home before that. Wisconsin has a reported 30% of kids underage are drinking, and I never got in trouble with the cops except for once when my friends and I stopped at Jimmy John's and we got day old bread and had a bread fight in the middle of our tiny downtown square. If that doesn't show how bored you'd get, I don't know what else would. So I have told you the short history of the state, what it's like growing up in a small town, and exactly what goes on in there. And as much as I love the Midwest and my heart really resides there, I have to agree when Harry Houdini has said, the greatest escape I made was when I left Appleton, Wisconsin. Thank you very much.